The history of this car is really pretty fascinating. There are a number of people who have done some fairly extensive research, and we found there's a window of when this car was, we believe, built. It would be as early as 1882, which would make it one of the earliest cars built in America, to as late as the early 1900s, which still makes it incredibly significant. It was built initially as a coach, but then in the late 19th century, the Jim Crow cars were introduced to America, and the railroads had to comply. So what they did is they took some of these coaches, these wooden coaches, and they converted them into a Jim Crow car, which meant that they separate but equal. There were two sections for coaches, for passengers, one for the African Americans, one for the whites, and then it was divided by an area that was the baggage compartment and would carry mail, etc. This particular car was acquired in the early 1900s by the Glasgow Railroad Company from the L&N. So it's built as an L&N coach, was delivered as an L&N Jim Crow car, ultimately went into service as the Glasgow Railway Company's car that brought passengers from Glasgow to the main line up in Park City. The significance of this project is really quite unbelievable. This started as a local project. We heard about this as an old car that was over in Glasgow that was on a siding that belonged to a local railroad. When we went there and what we saw all those things, but when we looked a little further into it, this car is an absolutely rare car, one of just a handful in the entire United States. That was a wooden car from the 19th century, we believe, and it tells the story, the American story, the transportation story of the Jim Crow laws and segregation in America. So it's just not only transportation and railroading, but it's also American history.
We're standing here in front of the 109, which is a Jim Crow car, which is a part of the restoration program that we have going on here at the L&N Historic Rail Park and Museum. What you see behind me is the end of the car, which has still some of the old wood from the original part of the car that was built somewhere back in the 1800s. And we're in the process of completely restoring this car, and on the side you'll see where some of the new wood is being installed. We see behind me the part of the project that is still to be completed, and that is with the windows. And this project is being funded through the Tourism Care grant that we received in the amount of $10,000. This will help us complete this project of the windows. Behind me you see a sample of those windows. There are actually 12 on either side of the large windows, and at the very top you see the smaller window, which there are 22 on either side, so there's 44 of those windows which have to be completed.
Part of the pleasure of traveling in a passenger car is you get to look out the windows as opposed to a box car or something else that was regularly used on the railroads. So creating the windows for this car, because there really was nothing left other than the ghosting of the size. So we knew that, but we have to really start from scratch. So that is a huge problem for us. And receiving a grant from Tourism Cares to do these windows, to do the main windows, and then to do the 44 clear story windows, which are all done in amber glass that run the length of the car, that allow the lights to come into all parts of the car, is really an incredible benefit to us that Tourism Cares saw the value of bringing those windows back to life. And we're excited beyond words that they support this and that we're going to be able to now do it, because tourism cares about historic rail park and train museums' effort to bring back this very early and very significant railroad car.